Hi there.
Hi,
My name's Natalie.
my name's Jake.
Well, it's nice to meet you. Are you interested in learning about sustainability today?
Yes, I am.
Wow, cool. Yeah, sustainability is awesome. Have you ever heard of the book, The Triple Bottom Line?
I don't think I have.
Well, you should probably read it. It's by Andrew Savitz and Carl Weber, and it was published in 2006. Yeah, so it talks a lot about sustainability in business practices. So you know how businesses sometimes they are a lot of the cause of pollution and unethical treatment of workers and that kind of a thing. This book talks a lot about how that's a bad thing. So what do you think is your view on sustainability in relation to the government? Should the government have a big role in promoting sustainability or regulating businesses?
I really think that sustainability should be a big part of the government because they're supposed to be helping their citizens. So
Right.
why
Do
should
you
they
think
be
it's
involved?
possible for businesses to be sustainable without the government interfering?
I don't really know.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of people that are described as cynics by Andrew Savitz because they think that the only way for businesses to be controlled is through government regulations. But that's not exactly the case because there was a problem called there's an incident in Nepal, a chemical leak that killed thousands of people, and afterwards they created an act, just the chemical industries, and they ended up reducing their output of chemicals by 70%, and that was without any government interference. So there is a possibility for this to happen without government regulation. So does that change your opinion on what the government's role in business should be?
Yeah, that actually makes a lot more sense. So thank you for telling me.
No, it's fine. Yeah, it's just, businesses can be responsible sometimes, and, it's necessary to kind of give them that leeway. And, a lot of times, if it weren't for the business's intervention in natural disasters sometimes, then, things could be a lot worse than they otherwise would be. Like, say, during Hurricane Katrina, the government wasn't very quick on the ball to respond to that event, but companies like Walmart came in and they provided water, food, fuel for the refugees there when the government couldn't supply it. So, there are a lot of skeptics in the world that say that business and ethics don't mesh together, that businesses can't be worried about that kind of thing. They have to just go for the profit, but ethics can be a pretty important part of business too. So are you liking the book so far?
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah, cool. Okay, now I think Daniel's gonna come talk to you because he's the expert. Bye!
Go.
Hello, Jake. My name's Daniel.
Hey, Dan.
So, do you think that it's important for businesses to evaluate whether or not certain products fill a societal need?
Well, yeah, I do. I think that because the corporations are run by people just like us, and they need things just like we do.
Yep.
I totally agree with what you were saying. Andrew Savitz says in his book that that we need to think about the home insulation made with asbestos, paint containing lead additives, and more recently, drugs with undisclosed side effects. The products were willingly purchased by customers who believed that they met a certain need, but they were harmful to their health. In retrospect, society's interests were harmed rather than helped by the development and sale of these goods. So if more companies are aware of what they're making and how they affect the people, then it can be a much better benefit to the business and to society. So what do you think about small p politics?
Actually, I don't really know what it is.
It's like interpersonal skills, like returning phone calls, remembering somebody's name. Andrew Savitz mentions it and he says that businesses should really be focused on small p politics. Do you think that businesses should really focus on that? That should be their main focus, or should they focus more on the bigger politics like Congress and lobbying?
Well, small p politics are important. I think it's more important for them to focus on things like lobbying for sustainability.
Okay, that's wonderful, because I think he should have talked about that too, but he doesn't mention it at all in his book. Big companies, they have a lot of money and they can afford to lobby, and I think that I think that they should lobby more for their sustainable practices, but the problem is the big companies often are not sustainable. So we need to really work to get small businesses and businesses that really care about the environment to lobby for sustainability, in hopes that the bigger companies will catch on and they will have more of an influence in Congress than they do now.
So Daniel, this book, it has a lot about big business, but when will it start talking about issues that are really important to me?
What issues do you care about?
Well, an example would be equal rights for women.
As a matter of fact, this book does mention equal rights for women. Andrew Savage talks about a lot of human rights and social rights, and he does mention an example of women in Saudi Arabia that were given a job in a certain company, and they were disenfranchised. They had their rights taken from them, and they were made to work in a separate building, and they were paid less. But this specific company, Procter & Gamble, they advocated for equal rights for those women workers in Saudi Arabia, and in a matter of a few months, those women were working in the same building as men, and they also were receiving about the same pay. So it does address issues such as women's rights, and you can relate to subjects that are in this book. It's not just about big business.
So after all that, is that really what the whole book is about?
Well, actually, the whole book doesn't address those certain types of issues. It has a lot of little anecdotes to support the points that Andrew Savage is trying to make, but for the first half of the book, he's just trying to tell you what sustainability is, and the different examples across the whole world through different companies and how they're addressing sustainability. But unfortunately, the second half of this book isn't really going to be of much use to you, because you aren't a business owner or a CEO, and that's really, he's giving advice to CEOs and people that operate businesses on a daily basis, and he's giving them tips and tricks on how to handle their business and work with stakeholders and other companies like their rivals, and how to work with them to increase their profits and at the same time be beneficial to the environment and to society as a whole.
So I've actually been taking a class on sustainability, and a lot of the stuff that you've been telling me is from the book. We've actually been learning like pollution, poverty, global warming, all those issues. And I just, like, even though I'm not a big business owner, I still find it to be useful, so I can see how the businesses are trying to improve.
We think our classmates and others should read The Triple Bottom Line. It was an excellent book.
We give this book a thumbs up.